Next film.
She's from Savannah.
Because over there, you know, very dangerous, and then my brother, you know, he died already. But you know, like he you know, my family want to be dying. I don't want it. Please,
They already threatened to arrest the two brothers of the deceased, of the victim already. Yeah. So they are now in hiding somewhere in Vietnam. They don't dare to stay home at all. Yeah. So she's very concerned.
Quay mặt qua đây em. Nhìn mặt qua bên này nè. Nhìn mặt qua đây.
My family die again. I don't want it. Only leave myself here.
We will. Yeah, we will do something.
Very early, please.
Yeah, very, very intense pressure on Vietnam right now would help.
Because my family or my house can go out,
No, they cannot leave the home.
They can leave everything outside.
They cannot leave their home because so fearful that they would be attacked, and hurt. And even the son of the deceased person now dare not go to school either. Because her mom is 9 years old. 9 years old.
So they retaliate against 9 years old.
Everyone. Yeah, so they threaten the entire family. The job demands for investigation into the death of Mr. Tấn.
Chết rồi, tại sao mới bắt đêm nay mà ngày mai lại cắt cổ đập đầu chết? Nó khóc hoài nó.
And the son was very traumatized by the death of his dad. He couldn't understand why his dad died, something like that.
Dạ, nói là tại sao ba của nó mới bắt đi một ngày, qua ngày sau chết rồi.
He couldn't understand why his dad just died the day after being taken to the police station.
Má nó là không có dám cho đi học, sợ nó nói tầm bậy tầm bạ, nó bị giết chết.
And her mom dare not let her him to go to school because she's afraid that he would say something wrong. And that would invite more persecution against the family.
Còn bây giờ là gia đình của em bị đe dọa giống như là không có trực tiếp mà gián tiếp là đòi là anh của em đi ra nhận tội.
Oh, and they forced and
không có tội gì hết.
They wanted the two brothers of the deceased to admit to having committed crime, but they didn't know which crime.
Cho nên em không muốn gia đình của em ai chết đi.
Too many members of Wahang Buddhists want to come to support for them, but they stop them from far away. Don't let anyone come here.
Actually, we have lawyers willing to represent them, but the lawyers would not dare to come either, fearing for their own
có một mình
safety.
em ở đây, còn gia đình em ở Việt Nam mới nói ổng giúp đỡ làm cách nào nhanh để đi qua đây.
She needs to take the family out of Vietnam.
Ba em bảy mấy rồi.
Yeah, her dad is now over 70s already, and she's very fearful for her dad.
Có một mình em con gái em ở đây thôi.
She's the only one outside Vietnam.
Cho nên em cũng cần sự giúp đỡ cho gia đình của em nó đi nhanh qua bên này. Em không có muốn ai chết nữa.
She doesn't want any other member in her family to face the same.
My family, please.
And she's very fearful that others might die if we don't act quickly. She wants them to be relocated
cho
outside.
cháu của em nó được đi học ở bên này, tại vì nó quá khủng hoảng, ba nó chết như vậy đó. Nó hỏi hoài, nó hỏi tại sao cắt đầu, đập đầu mà còn cắt cổ nữa. Nó nói gì đó, nó rất là sợ.
The 9-year-old son is now very fearful himself. He's traumatized.
Mẹ của nó giống như bây giờ ngồi đâu là khóc đón như khùng vậy đó.
And the wife
sợ lắm. Cả nhà em đều khủng hoảng ở trong nhà.
Extremely traumatized right now. Ông nói ông sẽ có we talk. Okay, sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh.
My family. My family. Come here. Thank you. Yeah. Early, thank you. For my family come here because they busy up there. I'm so scared. I don't want my family die no more. Please help me. For all my family come here early. No, I don't want to die.
Đứng lên đi.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Đơn sọc. Ok, sure. Mình lên lầu phòng vợ. Mình lên lầu phòng vợ. Chụp hình chưa? Chụp này, chụp cái máy tại đâu rồi? Chụp hình chưa?
If you can get that, that is tremendous. And they had the power of the not yet concluded bilateral trade agreement, and then so they lifted it prematurely in the hopes of getting it, and none of it materialized. And it went. And I've gone back to the office under different ambassadors at large and said, you know, they've reneged. It's almost what they did to Rabbi Saperstein by going after Mrs. Hung. I mean, if that wasn't an affront, not just to her, which was horrible, it was an affront to the United States government and its high officials. It's like poking your eye, you know, right in the eye, finger in the eye. It says, we don't care what you think. Okay, you don't care? Vietnam. Well, here's what we're going to do. Prisoners list can't come here, and we're going to do it. And that's what we have to really insist upon with the new administration. And again, your witnesses, your testimonies, but your collective witness is the game changer. You know, without you and Helen No, the human rights, all the work you've done, and just it's the game changer. Because if they don't take, you know, one of the things that we learned from the Jews in the Soviet Union was that because they were so active, the government officials had to listen, and you're active. So I think we now have an administration that will listen. And the previous administration wanted photo ops and you know and happy face pictures with dictators. That doesn't cut it.
Well, maybe religion is the strongest card.
I think
It's easy
right now,
to bring across to the administration, right?
That's right.
Because before we didn't have that. Now there's
true.
There are more violation on so many incidents regarding Buddhism and Catholic churches.
And everybody equal before
Right.
our concern and
Correct.
law. You know, if it's the Buddhist church, if it's the Buddhist faith, or the Christian faith, no matter what it is, we just have to fight equally hard.
So the other thing, I think when we were told, when we had a briefing about President Trump's meeting with President Xi at Mar-a-Lago and the aftermath, there was two things that came out. I mean, one is that there's going to be an emphasis on religious freedom, right, in this administration. And that was very clear. That was stated by Mr. Tillerson. Secondly, when we asked about the Secretary's statement of human rights is going to be in everything, right, in all of our discussions, we asked how they were going to do that, and he mentioned internet freedom as being something where they were going to connect the business concerns and human rights concerns, and that they had a couple hour meetings with Xi on internet freedom related to the business aspect. So that's another. So religious freedom is one, internet freedom is another, which I think, and third, I think, even though it's not but Vietnam agreed in the last administration to some reforms on labor, and so they should be asked again to sort of, you know, do that. But even though there's no lever there with the TPP, but I think that should be also something that they ask about.
But you know, even with the last administration, the TPP language on human rights was a joke. We couldn't even talk about it until they released it. So I went and sat in the secret room over in the Capitol and read it. And the bottom line, the Achilles heel, it had some nice sounding words, but it was all nothing but fluff, was that full implementation will be done exclusively by the domestic courts of the country. So there's no international component to it. So the Vietnamese courts would adjudicate every violation of labor rights, and good luck with that. It just wouldn't happen. And I brought that to the attention of the Obama administration because labor AFL-CIO and others were very upset with it, because they made recommendations that were concrete, and that was in all the body of what I was able to read in that secret room, and they didn't accept their recommendations.
So how will you be able to bring that message across to President Trump when the next Thursday's?
Well, today's hearing hopefully gets some coverage in the press. We have a letter that we're sending to President Trump that outlines this, and we're going to attach your testimonies. And
your letter to Tillerson as well.
Letter to Tillerson as well.
Stuff in Georgia.
And I will make phone calls to different people within the administration. I wanted to have a hearing first, to set that up.
Right.
And we're looking at an op-ed that hopefully will get published, calling on the president to do the right thing on human rights in general, religious freedom in particular, in Vietnam. And it's all right before, we thought of doing it even closer to the visit, but it is close. But we're not in session.
Right.
We're not in session. So, I wouldn't be able to have the hearing. There would be no other members there, even if I did it. And that's really, doesn't happen that much. You have a hearing without other members. Plus, I'm going to South Sudan on Saturday. So that's a, very, very troubling situation. Famine, refugees, and bloodshed.
And also there ought to be follow-up actions after the meeting at the White House.
Absolutely.
So,
It's not a one and done.
Sure.
That's an excellent point. It's a process, and it's got to be, that's why the list promulgation, we've given them the tools. The Religious Freedom Act, Magnitsky, they have tools, and I can tell you, when I met with President Lukashenko, who's another dictator in Belarus, some years back, his regime, his dictatorship, there's about 200 or so people that are on the can't come to the United States list, no visa denial. And their businesses can't do business here in the United States either. The good news is that the Europeans put out a similar list after we passed the Belarus Democracy Act. It was my law, I wrote it. And so we're meeting with him in Minsk about some years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. And he was so angry over the Belarus Democracy Act because he and the worst violators of human rights can't travel to the United States, and now to Europe either. So one thing we need to do with these lists is to get the European Union to follow suit the way they did with the Belarus Democracy Act. Of course, Belarus was right there, it's on their doorstep. And Australia. And get them to say, follow the U.S. lead. Here's the list. It's been very carefully vetted. Don't let them in your country either. Isolate them for the torturers that they are. So that's going to be another bit of follow-up that we're going to do with the European Union and with, I'm the chairman of the Helsinki Commission. It's called the Commission on Security Cooperation in Europe. I will actually be, of all places, in Minsk in early July. So we're going to, there's about 250 to 300 members of parliament from 57 countries who convene for 3 days of conference at a different capital every year. We were here once in the U.S. Last year was in Tbilisi, in Georgia. This year it'll be in Minsk. This is an opportunity for us to tell them on a related matter, which is Vietnam, because it's not Europe. You ought to be thinking about holding the perpetrators of these crimes responsible like we're doing. So I'm going to raise it while I'm there. And I think, again, it's all a process to try to get them to say, if they put the same cast of torturers on their visa denial list as we do, that isolates these pariah individuals while we are simultaneously looking to hold the country to account, like with GSP, holding and other tools that could make a difference.
Well, you can talk to the government of Estonia, because they already have their Magnitsky law, and because they are part of the Schengen visa agreement. And all 22 countries, I think, 22 countries.
22,
yeah. Would have to deny visa to those government officials. Once the Estonian government denies visa, it applies to Europe, except for a few countries like the UK. And UK is considering its own Magnitsky laws.
It's a great step you know, and it has to apply equally to the whole family, so they don't, you know, the dictatorships don't get rich individuals, and then their kids go to the greatest colleges and universities around the world, living off the ill-begotten gains financially of being corrupt and a torturer. So,
now his Phương and her husband would like to have a picture with you sometime. Yeah. Chụp hình lúc nào được anh? Có gì nào muốn?
Nãy em có chụp hình.
Chị có muốn nói về nói chuyện?
Cô đâu, qua bạn ngồi đi, qua bạn nói đi, qua bên, qua đi, chị qua bạn đi, bạn nói. Được không không? Chị muốn nói chuyện với họ.
Bây giờ chút xíu nữa, người ta đang muốn nói chuyện.
Chị nói đi chị nói chuyện với ổng đi. Anh Thắng ngồi gần để thông dịch. Anh Thắng ngồi gần để thông dịch.
So thank you very much, and today's attention would actually, I think, would help alleviate some of the threats and intimidation on the government. Because they know that we know now.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
And I think they have to know we're going to hold them personally responsible, not just the government. The government, they can just hide behind, they'll never do that, they'll never do GSP, but we will. But now, if you're personally being held to account, I think that's a very serious action. And we have all these tools.
Có hình của anh Tấn, có hình của Tấn đưa cho chị cầm. Có hình của anh Tấn đưa cho chị cầm. Cái hình của anh Tấn có không, đưa cho chị đó cầm. Dạ, đưa cho chị cầm. Đưa cho chị Phượng cầm, đưa cho chị Phượng cầm. Chị cầm cứ giơ, chị cứ giơ lên đây, chị cứ giơ đưa chấm coi, chị đưa chấm coi.
There's no way that he could have killed himself with a letter opener.
No. His head, hole in his head.
Also, yeah, there's a hole on his head as well. Just hold his got all mushy.
They got a lovely family. Ain't no way he can kill himself that way.
And his family is very well respected in the community of Hoa Hao Buddhists. Maybe that's why. So they targeted that family.
They have that relation to Hoa Hao.
They even kill Mr. Tân himself because they do a lot of things for the Hoa Hao Buddhists. A lot of things. And have any paper maybe.
Anh, cứ đưa cho chị cầm để em đăng livestream. Cứ đưa cho chị cầm.
We want to say for the people around in the United States because of Smith and Dr. Tang and Scott, three of them that help us a lot, and they support for us to bring to 23 family come to United States because they can live in the United States. Too many years ago, you support for us, but you don't give in your mind, but we give in our mind. A lot of people say to me when the time I come here, they say, we set up the time, we go together with 23 family, go to say, appreciate for Smith and Dr. Khan, something like that.
He's talking about P1.
Yeah. And And that way, all of you, don't worry much. If Smith and some people say can help you, they try to find out a good way to help your family.
We will do everything.
Okay, I said it earlier. I'm grateful for Dr. Thank you.
Another way we just only talk. Another way, one of them, that one family, they keep the bullet keep in the house for 38 days without water, electric, and everything. The children, and they are only 4 years old.
4 months. 4 months. 4 months. The baby is 4 months old.
4 months old.
Yeah.
The older 80-year-old. But right now the bullet cut them, and I hear the news they sent to Hanoi somewhere. And 3 of the men they step out.
Hôm nay nhắc tới Vương Văn Thả.
Somewhere. We can't find out where they keep it. And that way we want to send letter to you sometimes. We need the help.
These had these at the other day. This was some of the 60.
Cái hình kìa.
60 odd people we met with in Hue, Saigon, and this is Archbishop Kiềm. We met with every denomination out there.
Remember her? What happened to her?
I don't know.
She was like the face of the
Right.
for a couple of years.
No, she has retired.
Father Lloyd, just Father Lloyd.
Ông có hình ảnh hết á, mấy người yên tâm đi.
Yeah.
You know, we met with the Buddhists under government control, and I asked them a number of very pointed questions about how they could do this to unify the Buddhist church and other Buddhists in the country. I didn't get a very good answer. You know, it's like,
Wow. As mentioning the response to the UN human rights experts, they just claimed that Mrs. Hong bombed herself, she injured herself, and they claimed in the response, they claimed that Mrs. Chen Hong hit herself, and
you said that.
So they don't care about the truth and how ridiculous that could be. They could say whatever they want, and that's how they get used to their own people inside the country. So they are doing it now to the world.
I just want to share with you myself as the U.S. citizen, and last year when I went back to Vietnam, at the same time with the President Obama was there, and the communists would detain me 6 days and 5 nights.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. For doing nothing, because I'm just outspoken on my Facebook, and they don't like that.
They don't like that.
And they captured me, they detained me 6 days and 5
Where did they
nights.
hold you?
Behind the bar.
Behind the bar?
Yes.
It's terrible.
Of course, now with Facebook agreeing to sort of censor their products, that maybe they won't even know you're outspoken on Facebook. Well, the government will know. Maybe nobody else.
Yeah,
Oh, it's okay.
yeah, they're
They're
moving in the
afraid
wrong
to shoot,
direction.
you know, the communists, they're afraid to shoot, so always
They sure are.
to tell them what happened in Vietnam, the people in Vietnam cannot speak out their mind or, you know, what's going on. So we here, we practice our right of, you know, freedom of speech, and they don't like that.
Keep it up. Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for this.
Ok, bây giờ tạm thời chia tay nha, chút nữa mà nói chuyện lại ha.